What is up,
What
dude?
up?
What's going on, man? Oh, good. The rocking chair's back.
No, yeah. This is my new place of potting. Oh, actually, last week it was at my office, huh?
It was.
Yeah.
I didn't
Never
get
mind.
dizzy at all last week watching it. So
Yeah, there's no rocking chair. Should I close this window so you can see me? The blinds?
uh, yeah, maybe. That sounds good.
That didn't even help.
Oh, great work, sir.
It's really red out there. Hey, there's Bianca. ABC, Bianca B.
What?
What? What? You can't
Put
hear
your
me?
headphones in, Bianca.
Headphones.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. I got
There
tons
we
of water.
go.
Tons of water this
Headphones
week.
in.
Some weeks I don't have any water. Some weeks I got a lot of water.
B, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. It's in the middle of the
Yeah.
work day, so I'm gonna be kind of quiet. I mean, everyone's in the office right now,
Thought you might be kinda funky 'cause it's, like,
so I'm
afternoon.
probably not gonna be talking loudly or laughing loudly if I can help it.
No way. No way. That is a challenge. Challenge is accepted.
I'm not sure if I could do it, but everyone's here, so
Zero
it's a good
chance
incentive.
you could do it without laughing. Zero chance.
Try me.
It'd be weirder if you did it like in a women's bathroom.
Like
Is it, like-
echoey?
Yeah, it'd be super echoey, but then like people would just hear these like weird laughs coming out of the bathroom. They're like, what the heck is going on in there?
Well, and also like my 3-5 best things, people would have to hear them.
That's true.
That would be kind of weird as
Hey, you
well.
got like the jingle for B-sides?
Oh my gosh. I didn't even see your comment until after I had texted you because I was listening and I was like unexpected. I laughed. I was walking around a park and I was like, what? And I like put like this and everyone would look at me and I was like, I'm okay. And I was laughing and then later last night
have
your
some
best.
way of distinguishing it from the rest of the pod. So
I had no idea there was a song called B-Sides.
me either. I just looked up B-sides and saw what came up. That song. I was like, wow. And then it was like a super fun, goofy song. It was like, yay, that's fun.
Who sings that song?
I have no idea.
We should probably look it up because then maybe
We need to pay royalties.
maybe we have to pay royalties. I have to pay royalties, but
4 seconds of their song. I think we're gonna
I'm
have to
just
do it.
kidding.
I know, or we could promote them. You know what I mean? Because I
yeah.
think it's catchy.
It is super
Me
catchy.
too.
I don't know. The rest of their stuff's not that good, but it's catchy a little fun. I think they're from. I don't know. Never
Cut
mind.
that part.
I don't
Cut
know.
that part.
Can't remember the name.
Cut that part. Yeah, they kind of suck, but that song's okay.
That song is fun. That song's fun.
Yeah.
It's really hard
All
to edit because the entire song sounds and looks the exact same in GarageBand. Like it's like,
What do you mean? The beat?
well, like the volume and the beat and everything. It's like exactly like it's so almost mechanical. It's like, oh man, how do I find where the line was that I was looking for?
Yeah.
So usually you can tell, but like just by looking at it, kind of. But that one was hard.
When people come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try.
All right, Bianca, what's the order?
Well, you tell me.
It's who has it written down from last week?
Okay, I have it written down.
That's why I asked you.
I picked, and I went third. But are we not including the one I did in Texas because before that was?
No, because last week we just decided to do the same as what we had done in Texas.
Yeah, so I think you did the one before.
Yeah, I did the intro last week.
No, I mean
remember
before
that.
the Texas one. You picked, Greg.
Oh, just go from last week's.
Oh, okay. But don't you?
Oh, I see what you're
but
doing.
there are
Yeah,
three
so
people,
Jason should pick this week.
Yeah.
Yay! I haven't picked in a while. That sounds right.
Third.
That's the same. That's good.
And then who does the
So Bianca
intro?
introduces. I go
Yes.
first. Bianca goes second.
Even if that's not true, I think
that's right. I think that's right. And then Jason goes last and picks.
I feel it in my gut.
Yeah, me too. That sounds good. Feels good in
Okay.
my belly.
Yeah. Look at Bianca and I have matching water bottles. Thanks, B.
I got a new sticker, Texas.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't put any stickers on it just because I love it just plain. Which I love your logo.
I know, but everyone has this water bottle at church who works here, so I have to
Yeah.
differentiate.
It makes a lot of sense. But nobody in Michigan does. So
Mhm.
Ahead of the curve, Jason.
Yeah, it says UPC on it.
Amen.
I should have brought you one, Greg. I'm
You'll know it's time to
sorry.
leave.
That washed off in the wash, but your logo still stayed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The logo.
How come
Oh,
Jason
yeah,
gets a
it
water
says
bottle? I don't get a
UPC.
water bottle, B. What's up with that?
I should have brought you one.
Yeah, you should
Sorry,
have.
I'm not a gift person. I don't think about it until it's too late. Yeah.
All right, so Bianca starts us off.
Hit it.
Okay, let me think about what I'm going to say. And then who goes first?
I think you should sing it.
In key of C. Who goes first?
Yep.
Greg?
Yeah, I go first.
Yeah.
After you start us off.
My phone is ringing. Oh no, sorry guys. I'm still at work. Let's keep that in mind. Hi, this is Bianca.
What, B?
Oh, hi, Kevin.
Don't talk to me that way, Kevin.
Yeah. You think she has a D&D button? She should put the D&D, do not
Or
disturb.
not.
Yeah, right?
Right? Are we more important than this?
I would think so.
Have you seen the latest Aliens movie?
No.
Like Alien Covenant? I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
I was just looking for a reference, yay or nay.
Sorry.
So we don't even
finally
know if
did go
they
to see that.
were there.
I rented.
I can call Tate. Do you want me to call Tate and see?
King Arthur. I liked it too.
I'll get to the
That's
bottom
kind of
of this.
fun, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Kevin.
it's what's his face doing King Arthur. I mean,
Yeah,
like what?
it's super ridiculous, but it's a blast.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So many
I've also
things
been
at
watching
once.
the Fast and Furious. Do you have a D&D push? Do you want to push or is that you need to be reached?
Oh, well, that was kind of urgent because it's something I've been working.
Okay.
That was internal. That was someone from another department. I wouldn't answer if it was like a parent or something. I don't know how to do that.
You shouldn't put that on the
I
B-roll.
think I'll edit that out when we get to this.
Oh no, I mean I don't know how to do like a do not disturb.
Yeah.
No, he was talking about I wouldn't answer if it was a parent.
Well, they could leave a message.
Yeah.
This one was I asked them to do something for me, so it's nice if I answered the phone because I asked them to do it.
That's fair.
Sorry if it rings. I mean, it really doesn't ring that often. That's the only project I was working on today, and he's
100% you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. You are listening to This Week in Gratitude. We are three pastor friends who talk with each other once a week, let each other know what we're grateful for, and you, the listener, as well, let you know what we're grateful for. We are Greg Richards in San Antonio, Texas, Jason Griffiths in Muskegon, Michigan, and me, Bianca Quesada, if you want to know my last name, in Seattle, Washington. And welcome. We hope you enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, please subscribe. Tell your friends that we recommend cool things and talk back at us. Yay!
That was the best intro up until the cool things. And they were like, it was so good up until there.
Some
said
people
cool
think
in a
that
way.
our suggestions are cool.
I know, but you said cool like I've never heard you say cool.
I know that was
With two syllables.
I love you guys.
Yahoo! Did it, done.
We might as well get right into it, huh?
Yeah, let's.
Hey, we're getting like almost 100 subscribers a week right now.
Oh, bye.
Or like 100 listens a week, which is pretty good. So,
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
on my math, that's like 10,000 a year.
That's that's near t-shirt level. I know it. I can feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it coming, right?
T-shirt, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
Let's-
getting close.
Somebody's
close.
gonna give us a t-shirt. That's when we're gonna win. All right.
Super close. All right, I get to start it off this week, guys, and I had a fun, for me, this is all kind of rolled into one, but I turned 40 on Sunday, which is crazy.
What?
I know it. So I turned 40 on Sunday, but that was combined with, so I had a birthday party on Saturday night, which I don't normally do, but 40 was a big one, and so went to like a barbecue place that I love, and we had a bunch of people that I love that were all there, and so that was really cool. And it was just fun to see all my like different friends from different places all kind of interact with each other, and that was fun. And then combined with that, like every team I root for won all weekend.
Oh my gosh!
It never ever happened.
Happy birthday to Greg.
Yeah, happy birthday to me.
It never
My
happened.
oldest son Josh pointed it out the other morning. He's like, "Hey, every team you like won this weekend." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do. I have no idea.
Man.
I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I don't have that. Like, there's nowhere in me that has the capacity for that level of excitement or joy. It's like that doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to happen." So
That's cool. Where did you go for barbecue?
I went to a place called Barbecue Station, which is kind of right down the road from me, but super good barbecue. So it's my favorite barbecue place in San Antonio for sure, probably anywhere. But so yeah, if you're in San Antonio and you're looking for good barbecue, you can go to Barbecue Station.
That's
And
awesome.
if you're in San Antonio and want somebody to join you for good barbecue, I will happily do that.
Yeah.
Shout out. Anybody who wants to go to Barbecue Station, give me a call. I live like 4 minutes away, so I can be there stat.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday.
Thanks, guys.
I'm kind of confused. What's the gratitude? Like, you're grateful you're 40? Or
Yeah,
like
I'm
you're
grateful. I'm grateful I had a good weekend. You know, I'm 40 now. I didn't die in between.
That's a
then and
huge.
now.
That's a huge gratitude. Like, how am I supposed to put that on the list? Like, okay,
Oh yeah, you gotta write that down.
Yeah. So
how am I not supposed to put that on the list or something? You know, like,
now you gotta
okay,
pick. So
I
you gotta
turned 40.
pick good, Jason.
Is that restaurant on your this week of
Yeah,
gratitude?
it's all rolled in.
Sure.
It's
Your
the
friends?
birthday weekend, Jason.
Birthday weekend. Okay, birthday weekends. That's what you're grateful for. Birthday weekend.
Grateful for this past birthday weekend. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay.
You celebrate for like a
Okay.
year when it's your birthday, and you can't understand when somebody's happy for like.
And that's why I think I have such trouble with it. You know, Griffith's birthdays are like months, years. You know, like
I know you guys don't
Weekend?
stop.
Come on.
yeah. Okay. Birthday weekend. I'll write that down and
Yeah,
try.
write that down. Greg's birthday
Where
weekend.
to put it. Okay.
Okay, I will go. Happy birthday, Greg.
Thank you.
So my first one is, it's a really dumb show. I'm not even sure if I'm recommending it. I'm just letting you know that I watch
Oh
it.
boy, this is gonna be good.
It's
This is
on
more of a
TBS.
confession.
So you've been building it up even
Okay.
more. It's one of those dumb TBS shows. And it's called Wrecked. And it's a comedy. And there are people stranded on an island. And they just have to like learn each other's personalities, take charge. It's, it's a sitcom, things, situational comedy, if you will. And so I have been watching a lot of it because what got me into it is one of my favorite comedians, Rory Scovel, which might actually be what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for Rory Scovel. He was posting that he's in this show, and so I started watching it, and he was only in like one episode of season 1, and I ended up watching the whole thing. And so I'm into it now. I watched the second season. Watch it if you want. It's pretty funny. It's okay funny. It's really stupid. It's got like stupid jokes and stuff. But Rory Scovel has a bigger part in the second season, and he is so funny. And so if anyone gets a chance, I've seen him live a few times. Every time he comes into Seattle, I'll try to make a point to go see him because he still plays kind of smaller venues now. He's a stand-up comedian. And I just recommend his comedy. He's really funny in the show. He's like the bad guy, so it's funny to see him this way because I think of him as like this silly funny guy. Actually, he has a special on Netflix that people should check out. But anyway, it's making me grateful. What's up, Greg?
Say his name again.
Rory, Rory, Scovel, Scovel.
Would we know him from anything else?
He's been another dumb TBS show that's canceled, and I watched it because he was in it. I don't know. He's becoming more famous. He just posted that he wrapped doing an Amy Schumer movie. So whatever new Amy Schumer movie is coming out next year, he's in that one. Although I don't know what it is. Gosh, I don't know. I think he's just up and coming. So you can get on the ground floor with Rory Scovel starting now.
I had questions about that show. Is it making fun of Lost?
Kind of, yeah, it does. Not exclusively, but every once in a while they'll have like a Lost joke, but it's not really about that, but they do know that it is a lot like Lost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody check out that new making fun of Star Trek kind of thing? What is the name of that thing?
It's on my list for this week. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Orville?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one looks really good. I thought
It is. It was pretty good. It didn't make my list, but
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping somebody else would have seen it, and then that would have been a conversation. But no.
But no, that's not what happened.
But no.
Crash and burn.
The wrecked.
No, wrecked. It's just wrecked.
Yeah, I know, wrecked.
Yeah.
Should we watch it? Like what? Like is it?
Yeah, you could watch an episode. Every episode is pretty similar. You know, it's a little over the top. So if you can't take one episode, you're not gonna like the show. And also, it probably helps if I tell you I was house sitting a little this week, and so that's what I would do when I go to my friend's house. I would just watch this. I wouldn't have watched it if I didn't have like all of these hours I needed to spend with this cat. I wouldn't have like added it to my rotation of shows.
Do you remember? There's a great Lewis Black story where he's talking about where aneurysms come from. And he says, I was in an IHOP and I heard out of the corner of my ear, if it hadn't been for that horse, I never would have spent that year in college.
What?
And it's like the best. Like if you look that Lewis Black bit up, it's like the funniest. It's so funny. It's like
that reminded you.
It's just a fantastic 6-minute whatever. But yeah, if it hadn't been for that horse, if it hadn't been for that cat, I never would have watched Wreck.
Here's a question.
That's actually true. I mean, I had seen Rory post about it a bunch. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not gonna watch that. It looks so stupid. And then I'm like, well, I have an hour to spare, and Rory's on this show, so might as well get into it. And he was only in one episode for all of the first season, but then I watched it all. There's some other actors that I recognize too, some comedians and sketch people in the show that made me want to keep watching it too. Yeah, they're good. It's funny.
I gotcha.
It's just over the top.
Yeah.
It's a TBS show, sorry.
We're not gonna watch that one.
Here's a question, just based on that. Have you ever watched a show, Greg, that the only reason you watched it because you were trapped somewhere, and that's the only show that was
oh,
not trapped, but
yeah.
Oh man,
I was trying to think of what, because if it wasn't for that cat, you wouldn't have watched Wreck. I was thinking, if it wasn't for, I don't know, I think the last time was we were stranded when we first moved here, we were stranded at this Christian camp, and they had, I forget what DVDs they had, but I was trying to remember I think we watched all of this. There's a TV show on Fox that didn't even finish. I don't know if it was a season or a half a season or something. It was called Birds of Prey. And so we were stranded in this house, and we can't go to sleep without watching TV. So we ended up watching the whole season of or season and a half of whatever Birds of Prey. It's like Batman's daughter or something, or sister, or cousin or something.
Oh yeah.
It was real memorable.
I think the one for me, I think it's Flight of the Conchords.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I had not heard of it ever, and I was traveling for some reason. I was just in a hotel, and they had HBO, and I never had HBO where I was, and I, had never paid for HBO before, and I was just like, oh, let's see what this is, and it just looked so
it's
weird. And I was like, and they started singing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really funny.
Yeah, Murray's actually in Wrecked.
Yeah, so
Murray is in that show.
And I was in. And but I didn't watch the whole show that time, but that got me hooked onto it. I was like, oh, I gotta find this show now.
That's one of my favorite shows. Jermaine and Murray are in Wrecked, so full circle.
You won. You win, dude. That was amazing. That was way better than Birds of Prey or Wrecked, I'm sure. Birds of Prey. Okay, my first one is Solo. It's Eugene Peterson put out this Devo. We put it out probably 5 years ago. I don't know, whatever the message was, whatever.
Even older than that, but yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, somewhere along the way, he put out this little devotion. It's like 150 days devotion. And I've had it on my shelf for a long time. But my son said, hey, I want a new devotion, just because his teacher's off the hook. He has Mrs. Morrison. Yeah. Amazing teacher, and he's just challenging my son, and I just love that my son is gobbling up his faith. And so I just pulled all the devos off the shelf and just said, which one do you want? And he looked at them all, and he he read the first one. He's like, dude, I want to read this one. And so then I paused whatever I was reading. I was reading Daily Bread, like I mentioned a couple of months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're reading the same devotion together, and I highly recommend both Solo the Message and just I think my gratitude is just doing it the same devotion as my son, and just those
cool.
when your children start to, I don't know, walk on their own spiritually, and it's just a neat, it's a neat experience. So I highly recommend.
Do you have a white and gray one, Jason?
I have it. It's like a faux leather one. It's a fake leather one.
Okay.
But it says Solo and Message. I'll show it to you.
Cool. I know what it is. I have
I
have a thicker one. I think it's like a full year.
Mine's just 150 days.
Yeah, you have like the New Testament version.
Yeah, I think it's a little mini. It's like a half a year. I don't know why you made it 150 days, but it's starting out on Sermon on the Mount. He's really
good. Cool, man.
He's really good at just making Scripture accessible. I think he's got a real gift at that. That Eugene Peterson. Cool that
Zeke is gobbling that stuff up too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to say it's because of your parenting, Jason, but I'm not positive.
No, I'm pretty sure. No. Never mind. I have a funny story about that, but it's not radio friendly. But all right, who cruises?
All right, I'm going to piggyback off yours and talk about Josh, my oldest son. He had a kind of a crazy week where he tried out for like the high school golf team and made the high school golf team, but he already plays soccer, so it's like the schedule stuff is just crazy. But then on top of that, he's been struggling with like breathing when he plays soccer, and he's a really good soccer player. And then this weekend he made our local professional soccer team has a training program for people who are his age. And so he made this, it's called the Elite Training Program. And so he made this team. So he's really excited about that. But in the meantime, he's been like all summer struggling with breathing when he exercises. And so we've gone to the doctor a couple of times, and they tried this one thing and it worked for like a week, and then it stopped working. And then so we finally got in to see this a pulmonologist, which is just like a specialist on breathing. And so we went and saw him, and like he confirmed that Josh has some kind of asthma. And then he kind of explained, like he spent like an hour explaining to us exactly what it is and how it works, and basically like gave Josh like a treatment plan and all that stuff. And then he told Josh the story where this guy was in high school and played high school soccer, and then went and played soccer in college. And then like his freshman year, he got diagnosed with asthma, and like he all of a sudden his soccer playing went way better because he just couldn't breathe when he was running, and he didn't know why. And that was exactly Josh's story. But I think so like so I'm grateful that that's finally figured out. Like it's one of those things that Josh has been playing and doing, and is so active, and he's so intentional about like his time and his life and like these choices that he makes. Like he eats super healthy and he sleeps well and like all these things, and he just couldn't breathe when he's running. And so it's like it's just really cool to think that, man, like God put us in like exactly the right person to have this conversation with him, and then that guy like knows exactly what Josh is going through, and then has it like it's this office where they have like all these they have pictures of all their former patients who went on to do something in college athletically. So they've got like pictures of like swimmers and gymnasts, and so it's like, and he just told Josh like, we expect your picture to be on the wall, and it was so cool. So anyway, we're pretty excited about that. That was kind of fun.
I dig that.
It's awesome when you meet people who are really good at what they do, and it intersects with what you really need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also it reminds me. You remember the story when Zeke was born? My wife couldn't walk afterwards, and so no one on the whole doctor staff didn't know what to do, so they just sent us home in a wheelchair. And she was trying to diagnose herself and like explain why, like how it felt to try and walk, but she just couldn't. She just couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And so we wheeled her back in, and everybody's confounded in the whole hospital until this internist, who was just in med school finishing up her residency. She said, "Oh, I think I know what this is. This is pubic synthesis and it's because you've torn the ligament between your pelvis, like that holds your pelvis together. Usually, at childbirth, it stretches and then it brings it back together.
Yeah.
But then they X-rayed, and she had, like a couple centimeter gap between, and that's why that same thing. It's just I almost wanted to kiss this lady, like I just wanted, just grab her and hold her, because you're like the
not knowing is so hard, right?
The solving of the problem,
yes,
like in the diagnosing of what is why, and now it's just a simple tweak, and Josh is running, and that's awesome.
So we should know in about a month or so if the new meds that he's on is going to work and all that stuff. So
A+,
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What's that doctor's name?
I don't even remember. Dr. Smith, I think.
You made that up.
No, I'm pretty sure it is.
I think his name was John Doe. Dr. John Doe.
Dr. House?
Charles Chuck Smith, maybe? I don't know, something like that.
Okay, Dr. Smith. We'll praise God for Dr. Smith until we figure out what his real name is.
With an I. Smith with an I.
Yeah.
Smith.
Samsonite. Way off.
I was way off.
Samsonite.
Samsonite.
Okay.
All right, B, are you up?
Okay, I'll go. Yeah,
right.
B. So I'm on this extra committee from work about trying to get more young adults back into our congregation, which every church is struggling with. But some other people besides me on staff have done some hard work in getting this grant that we have, and it allows us to work with other churches in the region that have also have this grant, trying to think through the young adult issue and how to be welcoming in our church toward, it's pretty much, they exclusively said 23 through 29-year-olds, but really it's older than that too. And so this past weekend, we did a few meetings actually on Thursday and Friday, all gathered as all the churches in the region, talking about their stories and everything. Actually, the second day was more about young adults. The first day is actually the cool part, which is people got up on the podium and just described their church and was like, hey, then we had this pastor and then this happened. And these are all churches I know about because they're all in the Seattle region. And, even some of them I've been kind of jealous of because they have a rumored that have a lot of young adults. And then they're up there and just saying like what it's really like to be working in that church. And so it was just cool. I think it was 13 churches that went up, including us. I didn't give our speech. Someone else in our group did, which is funny because if I had given our speech, it would have been way different and way more like self-deprecating, but she did really well. But just hearing other people's, because like half the room used to work at UPC in this room of 13 churches. And so I just wanted to like apologize or whatever, but she didn't know that. And so she did really well. But hearing from all these other churches in the region, they're going through the same issues. And even ones I thought were doing really well, or, or even ones I hadn't heard about, I'm like, wow, you guys are doing amazing things. I didn't even know you were, around. And, who do I know in your neighborhood that maybe should go to your church instead of mine or something. So anyway, it was a really cool weekend of gathering us all together. The second part, and really what's going to be happening in the future, is focused on young adults, but just having everybody in that room. And I knew a lot of the people already, and just feeling like a cool network was gathering over last week. And so, yeah, I'm just grateful for that. Grateful to be kind of jarred out of my UPC silo and be like, hey, people are doing some cool things out there, and vice versa. People are struggling with some things, and just having a realization, about what's going on, not just and they're not all Presbyterian churches either. I mean, just throughout churches in the region. And it was just cool to be a part of that.
I love
Have either of you guys seen, there's some new numbers out on that just came out.
I did see that.
On like what's it called? The
Barna?
PRRI.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it just came out semi recently, but like the numbers are not spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And the young adult ones in particular is like, ooh, there's some like, there's a couple of like small glimmers of like, oh, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. There's some interesting facts being thrown out there. I think the one that caught me was the amount of people that say, you know, they're not religious, you know, which means I don't go to church, but they do like consider these things. And so they don't see like the contradiction there of like, you actually do care about this, but you're not showing up, which is fine. That's our job as working in a church. But there is kind of a disconnect there between, you know, believing in something and actually doing something about it. I don't think it's unique to this age range either, but it was just like it was a big number too. The gap was like over 30% was the difference of like, you know, it's something I care about, but I don't do anything about it. And it's like, okay, do you hear yourself here? You know? So anyway, just kind of interesting, just interesting numbers and stuff that I heard this weekend too.
I like it when the churches come together and overlap and just start sharing information, start talking with one another. Because I know we're definitely better together than apart. And isn't that Hillary Clinton's thing? But I was going to ask, like, I was thinking, when do you think people come adult now?
Gosh, that's someone's PhD, you know.
42, maybe 42 sounds about right.
42.
I'm almost there, Jason. I'm almost there.
And then I was going to throw out there also. I was reading in. I still get the newsletter from the church I used to work at San Marino Community Church, and I noticed one of these college students that was working. I think he went to UCSD. I think that's where he was at. This guy named Andy Link, and he's back in town and he's brewing beer now. That's what he got out of USD, and I think he got in some degree in some other thing. But San Diego's like a beer town now, and he's doing this beer garden at the parsonage of the church. And I was thinking, I'd salute that. I love that. I don't know. It's I think there's a big, especially in LA, probably everywhere, but there's like this like microbrew culture that's going out, and they're doing this beer garden at the pastor's house, and he's going to teach and it's right around the October 30th, you know, like whenever the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. He's doing the pastor is going to be doing a lecture or like a discussion about the influence of beer on the Reformation and
that's cool.
The role it played. I don't know. I think I get hope. I get hope from when I hear good ideas, and I get hope when I hear about me going to just gatherings of people discussing what's going on. You know, I think truth pops out, and even if truth doesn't pop out right away, community pops out, and you start working together. And that's a good one.
I like that one.
I did too. My second one, I read in Relevant magazine. They were doing an article on, you know how Bono and Eugene Peterson did something with Fuller Seminary. And Bono, they took this excerpt from it and kind of made it into an article, how Bono thinks that the problem with Christian music today is that there isn't enough lament. There isn't, you find laments and anger and rage and that kind of thing in the Psalms, and that's what I think he thinks Christian music is lacking. And couple that with the fact that I've been cruising around listening to Metallica's latest 2 albums, and I think there's so much lament and anger and rage in hardcore and heavy metal music. And so I was just like, hey, I need to find something new to listen to that's followers of Jesus. And I kind of stumbled across this band. And if you like hardcore heavy music, it's Gideon. I think they're from Alabama. And they're not overtly Christian. The only reason I found them is I was looking through the public library stuff, and I noticed that cool album cover, and they look like a hardcore band. I started listening to it, and I first noticed, they're not cussing, but they're bringing up serious issues. They're like why is everybody in jail? You know, like they're like just mad about stuff, and they're also sad about stuff. And I think that genre of music, that's what its major strength is. You know, Rage Against the Machine, all that stuff. Anywho, so I listened to this, and then I looked them up online, and they're a Christian band. Yeah. So I was like, give them a listen if you like hardcore music. Gideon, yeah. And their album is Cold. That's the only one I've heard. It's the newest one.
Cold.
Hey, can you guys hear my dog barking like an
Yeah,
idiot?
is he okay?
Yeah.
Should we be concerned?
I'm not. If that, I don't know if you should be or not, but I am certainly.
What are you feeding your dog?
What do you feed your dog? He looks miserable.
Why? So you can beat him? Anyway.
Oh, man.
Okay.
That's a good one, Jason.
So
All right.
Gideon, yeah.
My third one, I've been thinking about. I've been preaching through 1 Corinthians, and we're in 1 Corinthians 2 now, and one of I had this realization almost as I was preaching it this week that it's just kind of crazy that that the God we know from Scripture, so the God of the Old Testament, the God of the New Testament, Jesus, that God, our God, gives us God's self in the form of His Spirit, and it's so basic to how we understand the world that we think about. I'm not sure I ever stopped to really be grateful for that really basic, simple thing that is so fundamental to everything else that we hold, but that God gives us God's self in His Spirit is it's all what chapter 2 is about, 1 Corinthians. But it's just this, and Paul says that this is the gift that lets you recognize all the other gifts. But it's just sort of the enormity of that. Even though you learn it when you're a kid that you welcome Jesus into your heart and all that kind of stuff, but it's when you stop to think about just that God allows Himself to indwell us, and not just us individually, but us as a people and together. It's pretty amazing. I don't know. So I've been kind of wrestling with that this week a little bit and letting it kind of stew some. But I've every once in a while I remember some of those old things that we were taught, and it's man, that's really true. But it's it's hard to get how shocking that sort of is, right?
Yeah, and I sorry to be blunt, but I think you're just trying to get all three of yours on the top five. How do you not put the Holy Spirit God's
good luck, dude. Good luck.
Self?
Good luck. You got to pick the top 5, but if you put the Holy Spirit on there, we're gonna have some work.
I might go to heaven. I don't know, but you were just talking about this with my men's group because we're going through Hebrews, and the big in the latter Hebrews chapters, the big comparison is how better the New Covenant is than the Old Covenant. And we spent pretty much 2 solid Bible study times, 2 solid mornings around breakfast, just talking about what it would be like if the Spirit wasn't here. And that alone makes the New Covenant, just in a different category, because the Spirit, we can worship Him anywhere. We can be with Him anytime. He never stops. He's just always there. God gives Himself. Just to tack onto that, I'm preaching through our new mission statement that we're proposed for this McGrath Memorial Congregational Church, and I'm preaching on Spirit-filled. And I re-stumbled across again in John Ortberg's "The Me I Want to Be." Should I stop talking?
No, you can go. You should go. I'm listening.
Okay, good. This should be me and you right now.
Yeah.
This podcast is B and J.
As long as that dog is put away.
In that Ortberg, "The Me I Want to Be," he relates. Hey.
He's still talking.
I kept
He's
talking.
still talking?
I kept talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still talking.
Sorry, take a break to see my dog.
Okay. I was just saying that I'm preaching on the Spirit too, and I'm preaching because we're preaching through this mission statement that we're coming up with McGrath, and I'm preaching on Spirit-filled. And I just re-stumbled again on "The Me I Want to Be," John Ortberg's book. Horrible title. Still love the nuggets that are found in that, but he is his little comments about when Jesus is, at the Festival of Tents, when he stands up and he says, I come to me, I'm the living water, and springs up, a well will spring up within you that will never come to an end. And then John commentates and says, and by this he was talking about the Spirit, which was coming, and so then John Ortberg says, we're not only saved by grace, we're to live by grace. And to live by grace is to live by the Spirit. And just that little phrase, it states the obvious, but it restates it in such a way as to, it's simply a conversation with the Holy Spirit is living in life. If you want life, you come to God. If you want life, you come to the Spirit. The Spirit gives life. Anyway, I dig that concept.
Yeah.
It's definitely making it in the list.
Pressure's on, B. Pressure's on.
Pressure's on.
You're not gonna choose my next one. That's okay. I like it. That's all that matters.
Pearl Jam, and then you're gonna pick Pearl Jam over the Holy Spirit. It's okay, Jason. I get
it. That would be that would be my hardest decision in the last week.
Ever.
Sure. Maybe, I don't know.
No, mine is my third one is just that fall is starting here in Seattle. And it's coming early, I know. Usually we get a good September, which this is still considered good weather for me. I love September and October in Seattle, and I've never tried to put this into words, which I still haven't until right now. So here we go. Is sometimes, oh man, this is gonna be hard to put into words. But I feel like for me, like warm weather is like fake. Like it's like fake, like, oh, everything's so nice and it's summer and you're supposed to be outside and doing things or whatever. It is kind of like fake. But as soon as I get like a cool breeze, like I'll be standing on the corner of the street or whatever, and it's a cold breeze, and I'm like, okay, this is reality. This is real. Like this is real life is being cold. And so September and October are like this realization, like as much as I loved summer and summer is really fun and good, like you need to get back to life. And I don't know what that means. Like I really have no examples. It's just in me. And I've never heard anyone else say that, but anyway, I don't know. I'm grateful for the seasons, I guess is what I'm grateful for. But I have this weird like affinity to fall and being like, this is the real me. Like
I think
being cold,
after years and
but not
years
freezing.
and years, we have finally figured out why B and I are friends. Because what you just described is exactly how I feel about happy people. It's the way you feel about summer. But no, I legitimately I feel the exact there's something weird in us, and probably Jason too. He's probably less obvious about this. But there's something like if you're not suffering a little bit, then you're not alive.
Then what is it? Yeah. Although heat can be suffering, so it's not necessarily being uncomfortable, because being super hot is also
that's true. That's really uncomfortable in a certain way.
Summer. But and I don't like being super cold. I don't like snow. I don't like anything lower
than
like
punishment.
Yeah, but that cool breeze, even though it's nice, it's like, okay, snap out of it. You're here now. And it makes me like more alert to be like have a cool breeze. So September and October are just like these great like coming to know yourself again kind of months where I'm like, reading more and like thinking deeper, and I just love. And I'll throw November in there too, because November's not too bad quite yet out in Seattle. So September, October, November, it's like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of like. I don't know. I just really love it.
I love it. I'm with you, and I think that's a great one because it teases out like the next few months of podcast. Bianca's going to be awesome because
I know I might be. I'm going to be listening to so many pods and reading stories and stuff.
And I think your statement explains why I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, my least favorite season every place I've lived is summer. And so I think you actually were like giving me, because people always say that's stupid, Jason.
I like summer. It just feels fake to me.
It's my least favorite season everywhere I've lived.
Because
Michigan, it's the worst season of the year. Muggy. It's like muggy, bugs, horrible, just horrible. Jersey, it's like living in the devil's armpit or something. It's so nasty. It's just sweaty. California goes off the Richter scale. Texas, are you kidding me? I remember I was wearing glasses once and coming out of the San Antonio, like I was coming out of First Press. I came out of that awning or that open way.
Mhm.
I couldn't see out of my glasses. It got so muggy and foggy. Just miserable. I just punched me in the face, and I don't know. I wish I could sleep through summer.
Yeah.
But I think that's the underpinnings. I think that's the real reason. Because
Yeah.
I think I agree with it wholeheartedly. The people are kind of more fake.
Yeah,
It's
it just
all-
feels like too much. Like living at Disneyland or something.
It feels like you're pretending to be human in the summer, but in the
Yeah.
fall, you really
I
live in
like
nature.
it. They should go outside more. We might be the only ones who think
I
that.
fight that. I say we should turn up the air conditioning. Stay
Okay,
inside.
wait.
That's me.
Okay, move on.
All right, Jason,
Let's
take us
just-
home.
This is the last one? Oh, yeah, thirds.
And then you pick.
Yep, and then I pick. And mine,
And then B-sides.
mine is gonna. It is one, but it's more of a question too, because on last Friday night I went to a Big Reds game. The Big Reds are a Muskegon football team.
Yeah.
They're high school. They're national. They're huge. They're kind of a big deal, and they just crush the opponents. Because one of my congregants, they were out of town. They said, "Hey, can you use these?" I said, "Sure." So I took the 2 tickets. Being lack of like people that want to hang out with me, I grabbed one of these old guys, 87-and-a-half-year-old Norm Mertz. Awesome ex-police officer. We get to sit front row because he can't walk up 21 stories or whatever, like the level 21. So we'd sit front and center. Absolutely amazing. It was a fun night. There's something special about when you got a small town and they have a high school football team, and then everybody comes, like everybody. And it's just like most of the country, it's white flight. It used to be predominantly white neighborhood, and then the African American population moved in and white people took off. But in the stands, it's not that way. It's unity. Everybody's gathered around this football team that it's all their alma mater, and it doesn't hurt that they're ginormous. Like they have like 3 or 4 guys that are over 6'8" and like 300 pounds. Like these huge, they look like NFL linebackers. And then you throw them against Fruitport, and it was really funny because the defensive coordinator said, "No, guys, just run through them. Just run through them." And so then they did.
That's good coaching, bro.
The score was like 70-0 or something. They didn't score a touchdown.
Oh my god!
It was kind of not that interesting of a game, but it was really good in like cultural anthropology. Like, it's so fun to see people get along and people smiling. And there's these older generation of white people just seeing these young high schoolers, not seeing their race or color, but just seeing them as like kind of their kids, and loving them as they would love their children. They're like really proud of them, saying, "You're amazing. That was an amazing hit. Good job." Like that was an amazing pass. Like it was just really fun to just be a part of that crowd. And then my question comes in. The surrounding neighborhood there's been an increase in racial slurs being tagged around Muskegon. And so there's this heightened racism that's it's coming into the downtown region of our small little town here. And the Rotary Club has noticed it and said we should act. We should get on the offensive, and let's come up with a slogan, and let's come up with yard signs, and it says "Let love lives here." And so they had a rally on Monday where they gathered 300 people and they gave out these signs, these yard signs. And they're awesome. They're really cool designs. And you know me, I'm all about little, like, Live Strong. I had a Live Strong bracelet even after, he's just a cheater. But I love little gimmicky things. That's one of the things Greg loves about me. I'm a gimmicky kind of guy. And I love these little one nugget slogans, like that kind of thing. But my question is, you got two pictures of going of acting against or standing up against racism and bigotry. And one is people gathering around a football team and actually living out racial unity. And then another is a group of older white people saying, hey, let's get along, let's put some yard signs. Let's fight against this. And I'm not saying the Rotary's wrong. And
Right.
I'm asking, what like, which one do you like more? What do you think? Well, let's talk about that for a second.
You got to stop. There's noise. You're rocking. I can't.
I'm excited. You know,
I know you are. You are, because love lives here, bro.
love lives here.
That should be our tagline for our podcast. It's week of gratitude. Love lives here. One of my favorite quotes about race and the church in particular is from Stanley Hauerwas, which is not shocking. But he said once that until the church, this is it's not an exact quote, but until the church has a mission that's bigger than its differences, it will always be a racist institution. And I think what you get in football and what you get in the military, and maybe a couple other places like firefighting or police forces or something, is that there's a real sense of a mission and a purpose that transcends nationality or race. So, now it's artificial in football, right? Like, we make it up. You have to score this point or you have to get this touchdown or whatever, and it doesn't remove racism once you're not in that situation. But it's always been one of those weird problems that the military is more racially diverse than our churches. And I think that's part of the reason why, like, for whatever reason, we have not come to understand that our mission demands that kind of diversity in a way that we can't accomplish our mission without the other. And we still keep thinking we can somehow. And I don't know. So I'm with whatever efforts are out there, but I get the football one more in my bones because the goal is obvious, right? Like, I think that's part of the issue for us is how do we name the kingdom of God as that kind of mission that requires the diversity that a football team requires. I don't know.
That's perfect. That's why I threw it out. I wanted a Hauerwas quote from Greg.
You've come to the right spot.
I dig that. I think that's truth. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. I have nothing more to say. I mean, my initial thoughts, like, why can't you just have both? They feel like you're contributing, and I wouldn't want to tell anyone not to say that they're pro diversity, and so yeah, I don't know. I like Greg's answer. Nothing more to say.
Yeah, I like both and too. There's not much. I think we're all on the same page. I just like talking about that kind of stuff. And I think it always brings up the Tolkien versus Lewis, idea of, I like when characters live out, and I think that's because I like it when I live out the gospel more than I say it. Like I think that's where the rub comes down to.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, Jason. Speaking of the rub,
before we get
now is the time, bro.
There's one plus to being like a kind of a football fan that I am. Kind of doesn't care, kind of cares.
The worst.
It's
the worst.
It's every time this college football thing. It's every time it surprises me. I'm like, I like this more than I thought I did. And I always, and I like watching NFL games more than I thought I did. But I don't have to. You know what I mean? I still, every time Green Bay's on, I'm kind of rooting against them just so I can text Greg, how you doing? Who's winning? And I always root against whatever.
I can't read that. Is it about the Seahawks?
No.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is my cute quarterback for fantasy. So.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean, he scores a lot of points.
He does. That guy's good.
You have to say something, Greg.
Nope. We just need to wrap it up, Jason.
Oh, B.
You get to pick your top 5, bro.
Top 5. Top 5 are Solo with My Son, A+. Josh's Problem Solving Dr. Smith, A+.
Nice.
40th anniversary or 40th birthday, you can't do that. And you can't leave off the Holy Spirit. That's crazy.
Gary got all.
Is that all 5?
No, you
That's
got
4.
all 3 though. He
There's
got
one more
okay.
for Bianca, unless you want to take racism as 5, and then you win.
No, I want to take Gideon. I want to take Gideon just because I think in hardcore music and metal music fits in small town. As I'm living now in a small town where I went through my like childhood years in Millis, Mass, outside of Boston, and Muskegon's a lot like Millis, Mass. It just it fits better in these small towns.
You gotta let them know we talked about them on the podcast somehow. Figure out how to get in touch.
Yeah.
Send them a
Tweet
note.
Yeah,
Where's
I will.
the
Jason doesn't use Twitter.
Write him a note.
Write him a note.
All right, B-sides.
Okay, cue the music. Just kidding.
There's the music playing right now.
Boom.
Okay, so I'm just taking Jason's from last week, but instead of saying Pearl Jam covers, Greg, you get just 2 covers. Jason has to name a Pearl Jam cover and any cover, and I'm gonna name a Pearl Jam cover and any cover that's not Pearl Jam. So I can go since I've already thought it through, and you guys can think of yours. But my favorite, it's actually Eddie Vedder doing it, but it's Eddie and Glenn Hansard singing "Drive All Night" by Bruce Springsteen. And if you haven't heard it, you should definitely listen to it. The saxophone player is Clarence, who passed away. So Clarence is in Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band, and he passed away, but his nephew plays the saxophone now. So the nephew's playing in "Drive All Night" with Eddie and Glenn. So that's my favorite Pearl Jam related cover. Everyone should listen to that. Jay, you got one?
Yes, I do. A Pearl Jam one is "I've Got a Feeling." They cover.
Oh
Beatles.
yeah.
I've Got a Feeling, and the reason it's my favorite is they unlocked Pearl Jam unlocked the Beatles. I always hated the Beatles up until Pearl Jam covered that song.
That's funny. You're gonna like my next pick then. Greg, what do you?
Oh man, I don't know. I think okay, so we don't usually think of it as a cover, but I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Is it Prince?
Oh yeah,
it's a cover of Dolly Parton song.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking of the Sinead O'Connor. Yeah, I will. She does a really good job. And then my next one, not Pearl Jam related, is Regina Spektor doing "Real Love" by John Lennon wrote "Real Love." And if you haven't heard Regina do that song, you need to check that out. I love that cover.
All right.
And this is why I am the one leading this, because I can't think on my feet as well as you guys. What else do you? So you better have one.
And actually, the first thing that popped into my mind was "Nothing Compares to You" by Sinead O'Connor covering the Prince song. And it's mainly because she was on Dr. Phil on Tuesday. Dr. Phil kicked it off, and she's talking about depression. I highly recommend that. That would have been my 4th probably if it wasn't. I'm not a big Dr. Phil fan. I am a huge Sinead O'Connor fan, and it's just her fight. She, Chris Cornell killing himself, and then
Chester.
Chester. Just all the hopelessness of mental illness, and Dr. Phil, front of the bill and center to the best mental health facility in the world, with ulterior motives that it's going to end in the show, but it ended up being an amazing show. And then she still got it, man. It was really cool to hear her sing "Nothing Compares to You."
All right. Mine is I think his name is Blake Stratton. He's up by UB. He's got an EP called Bellevue, and he covers 500 Miles. I Would Walk 500. I would. And,
I might need to check that out.
Look that one up. His cover, you don't even know it's that song until you kind of get to the chorus, and it's like, wait a second, this sounds like the lyrics to this other song.
I just
so
thought of
radically.
This
It's
is
so radically different than the original.
I just thought of
I can't do this because this will go forever with Jason.
Yeah. Okay, go. Now I wouldn't even say mine. Okay. Boom.
No, that's good. But
did you give a second one, Jay? Did you? I can't even remember.
I gave 2. You were only supposed to get 2, right?
Yeah, only 2. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for playing B-sides.
Nice. All right. We will see you guys next week.
Okay,
Next week.
bye.
All right, bye guys.